Well, back to Fog Racing. We are here with the driver ratings for the fifth round, F1 2021 Championship Monte Carlo. Let's go, son.
Worst race of the season, most boringest track there is. Pretty much summed up the race.
Tell you what, guys, see if the result was Hambot for like the top three that are normally the top three, this would have been fucking awful. See,
That's a nice wee name, that Hambot Fair, isn't it?
That's alright. Like, but see the fact that it was actually like a mixed up grid, you know, it was.
Let's be real. See, I feel bad for whoever had to do the highlights package for the YouTube channel, because like, what do you put in?
And then even during the race, oh my god, you get that overtake with Vettel and Gasly and they cut the Lance Stroll. Oh, ho ho, woo!
Yeah, the cameraman was all over the place, and then they show you a replay of it, and then when you're about to get the replay, they cut away again. I mean, unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, the director needs fucking something done to him, like.
Don't know what he's been directing like, but obviously his F1 isn't his thing.
Yep. And Max leads the championship. Red Bull lead the constructors. Good weekend for them.
Like, everyone seems to be marking out about this. I mean, they find it strange. They can't seem to believe this is the first time Max ever led a world championship. But I mean, is it really that hard to believe? I mean, 2006 he started in Toro Rosso.
2006, 2015.
2015 started in Toro Rosso, right? I mean,
6.
2000. Was 2016 he started in Toro Rosso?
2015 and 16, he had a season at Toro Rosso.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Then he got promoted.
You were about to say no. It was
no, he got promoted, right? But he had like the first 5 races in Toro, so he ain't going to lead there. 17 and 18 and 19. Less 19, right? But see, 17 and 18. Red Bull probably were the third fastest car.
Well, they were.
And I'd say it was by a bit of a margin. Like, I don't think there was. I mean, it wasn't like there was a lot in it. It was Mercedes, Ferrari, and then Red Bull a bit further back. So I don't think that's a surprise, to be honest. 20. I mean, 20 is probably the only season. Like, last year, probably the only year where he could have, I think, realistically, led the championship, and he didn't. So, you know what? That's it. I mean, he should have led the championship after the first race of this season, but you know what? Red Bull bottled that. But they lead it now, and I think they're lucky they got this slice of luck, because not often Hamilton. I mean, Hamilton won't have a worse race than that this season.
Yeah, you'll struggle, guys. And that's where we'll start off. We'll go constructors from last season and down, or do you want to go for the race order and rate them?
For the driver ratings,
Aye. Race order.
I think constructor.
Okay, right, we'll start with Mercedes and we'll start with Lewis Hamilton.
Wait, we're not going from worst to best?
Alright, we'll go worst to best. Right, we'll go Haas.
That's not how we normally do it.
I don't know. Schumacher, I'm going to give, it's out of 10 with that, I'm going to give Schumacher, I'm going to give him a 4. Because he actually showed good pace in practice, but he crashed twice, and to me, crashing twice is almost...
Yeah, it's not good enough.
And then Mazepin beat him in the race, which is kind of...
Yeah, I actually think Mazepin did alright here. I mean, so in the rest of the races, well, I'm going to give Schumacher a 4 as well. I think that's fair for Schumacher. For Mazepin, I'm giving him a 6.
Yeah.
I thought this is by far the best race he's had.
And you know what? He didn't hit the wall once.
And there was no instance in the race where he was holding people up or anything like that. He had a clean race, and you know, and like you said, he beat Schumacher, and he didn't like beat him by a fluke or whatever. He actually genuinely had a race where his pace was, you know, just as good, if not, I guess, a bit better than Schumacher. So, I mean, I think easily Mazepin's best race. Mazepin. I mean, yeah. Arguably could have been higher than a 6, but I just think seeing that Haas, like, I mean, you just don't really know what's happening. Maybe Schumacher had a bad day. I don't know. It was a solid drive by Mazepin, and he gets a 6 for me.
They finished 2 laps behind Tsunoda, who was ahead of them. That's fucking...
But no, it's weird. The Haas didn't seem that bad.
Early on. In qualifying. And early on in the race.
They were right behind... I don't know what happened.
It's once you get lapped in Monaco,
because you lose that much
time. And then the leaders pit, and then they lap you again, and then it's just to continue.
Yeah, 2 laps isn't a true like reflection of the actual pace.
Like Ricciardo getting lapped by Norris, it's pish, but it's because he's being held up, and Norris is with the top group.
Yeah,
it's not a true reflection.
I believe on a normal track, the Haases would have probably finished within about 30 seconds of Tsunoda.
Maybe, yeah.
My opinion, I'm sticking
Although
to
you
it.
could argue they were closer this weekend because it was Monaco. But yeah, I get it. You know, if you could overtake it this track, yes, they would have been closer to Shinoda and Latifi and that gang. But let's get into the Williams. Latifi and Russell, I think. I don't even know.
I don't know. Latifi for me, I'll give him the Schumacher kind of treatment.
I'll give him a 5. He did crash.
I'm giving him a 4.
I'll give him a 4.
A straight 4 for me.
I'll give Russell a 5 because
I'll give Russell a 5 as well. Again, I mean, in qualifying, he out qualifies Latifi again. He's got the qualifying pace, but seeing the race, I just don't see much of a difference between Latifi and Russell.
no.
If Russell could do what he
The
did,
only race he impressed me in this season was Imola, but then he poleaxed Bottas. So
yeah, it's like, see if he had the same sort of pace over Latifi as he did in qualifying. If he had that in the race, based on Latifi's race pace, I mean, Russell would be on the verge of scoring points. But
no, it's shocking. He goes into that Mercedes. He outpaced Bottas in the race, but yet, like, clearly. But yet here at Williams, he never really does it against Latifi.
And in qualifying, he got out qualified by Bottas.
That's a weird.
But then outpaced him in the race. I don't know how to explain it. I'll give Russell a 5. Wasn't his greatest weekend, I don't think.
Nope. But next up we have the Alfa Romeos, and we'll start off with Giovinazzi. Got the Q3, finished in the points. I'll give Gio.
I'm giving him an 8. I might seem a bit.
I was going to say 9, but 9's I think higher. Yeah, I'll give him an 8. Great. I think this guy's actually underrated. I think initially he was shit, but
yeah, I wasn't a big fan of him, but I think
he's consistently beaten Kimi.
Last season he was a better driver, and I think this season he'll finish ahead of Kimi again. And I don't know how much to read into it. Is it Giovinazzi's improving or is Kimi declining? Bit of both. But regardless, I mean, I think Giovinazzi. A lot of people think that he doesn't deserve a spot in F1. I mean, I could give him more criticism if he was in a top team, but he's not. He's in an Alfa Romeo. He's in a team that's towards the back, and I think he's worthy of being in F1. Like, and I think he proved that today.
It would be very harsh of Alfa to get rid of Gio before Kimi if he beats him.
Yeah,
You know?
I don't think you get rid of Gio before. But then again, what is Alpha's goal? Is their goal to feed drivers through to Ferrari? Because if that's the case, I don't think Giovinazzi's going to be Ferrari quality. I mean, maybe it could be a number 2.
Yeah.
But where I see signs as obviously the number 2 driver, but capable of beating the number 1. Whereas I just wouldn't see that with Giovinazzi.
No.
To me, Giovinazzi would just be a number 2.
Barrichello.
Yeah.
Kimi, I'll give.
Although, let's be real, like Barrichello wouldn't have been Barrichello to many other people apart from Schumacher. Just unlucky. That guy was Schumacher. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
I'll give Kimi a 6. 11's no bad in that Alpha.
Yeah, he did. I thought he qualified out of position. I thought he was going to get into Q3 with Giovinazzi. His pace looked pretty good for the weekend, and then I mean, in the race, you can't really do much, to be honest. You know what I mean? How can you really criticise? You can't really give someone a bad rating just because they got stuck behind someone. Because I mean, that's Monaco. Really, unless you make the only thing I think that really judges your rate, I go more by. I think qualifying is probably more important than Monaco, and the only thing I can really take your rating down is a crash or an overtake, you know, because
Exactly.
and you rarely get that. So I mean, I think a 6 is fair for Kimi.
Next up we have Alpine. I think we're absolute shit this weekend.
Yeah.
Talk about a team that blows hot and cold. This
I
team.
mean, we say absolute shit, but still Ocon did no bad.
Yeah, Ocon. Alonso definitely struggling a lot more. I'll give Fernando. I mean, he actually did crash in practice.
Thank you. I'm giving him a 3.
He was pish.
I mean, he's my favourite
give him
driver
3.
of all time, but I'm not going to blow smoke up his arse here and say that, you know.
So he's a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I don't think the car was good, but at the same time, I think Ocon achieved a pretty good result. So, in comparison to Alonso, so
Yeah.
you know, 3
I'd
for
say it was-
Alonso.
I'd probably say the Alpine was definitely the third slowest car. I'd say Alpha were quicker than them.
Yeah, well, definitely. Yeah.
But I mean, it's Alonso, so he should be doing better. Yeah, I agree with 3. And for Ocon, I'll give him a 7. Because I feel like, you know, he actually beat Gio and Kimi and Ricardo and Shinoda, which I think's a good job.
No, I think a 7's fair. I mean, maybe it could have been an 8 on another day, but I'll go with a 7.
Well, I rate him highly compared to Giovinazzi, so that's why I'm giving Gio a rub, so to speak. Right, next up we've got AlphaTauri. We'll start with Shinoda. I'm going to give this guy a 4. He's never raced at Monaco, so I'm taking that into consideration. But look what Gasly's doing, and look what this guy's doing. It's just not good enough.
No.
So you
Definitely. I mean, I think maybe our rating on Esteban Ocon's a wee bit harsh, to be fair.
Maybe.
What did I give Gio, an 8?
Aye.
I'm gonna give Ocon an 8 as well.
Alright, I give him a 7. But...
I'm changing my mind. I mean, he out-qualified Giovinazzi. No, he didn't. I mean, but he overtook him in the race. So I mean, plus, I thought the Alpine looked shit. So yeah, I'll give Giovinazzi an 8. Right, Tsunoda, not been impressed one bit. It's a bit weird because I think the best he's looked was at the first race of the season.
Yep.
I think every time we see him, he gets worse.
I know.
See, when we first seen him, he was competitive to Gasly. Now, I know the AlphaTauri was really good in Bahrain, but it wasn't like he was miles behind. I mean, if he was shit, then even if he was finishing 6th, like Gasly would be like 4th or 2nd. That wasn't the case. He was actually pretty close to Gasly in Bahrain, but I mean, every race he seems to get worse and worse, and he's falling further behind. And I mean, just him getting knocked out in like Q1 when Gasly is, you know, fighting for top 5 in Q3's unbelievable in my opinion. And it's even another thing, see when Tsunoda get knocked out, it's not like you're thinking, oh, that was a shock.
No.
You're kind of expecting it. So if you're expecting, you can't be in this, you can't have 2 guys in the same team, and one's trying to qualify top 5 and the other one's qualifying bottom 5. That's just not. It's not on. Like,
unless the grid is literally separated
by
a
couple of times, yeah.
And here it wasn't.
So
I mean, there was no excuse here for him not to be out qualifying Russell and the Alpines, you know, because Alpine couldn't get the fucking I mean, if Gasly's top 6 beating Hamilton, Tsunoda should be at least beating Russell and the Alpines and probably the Alphas, like, if we're being real. But he didn't, and yeah, so...
But see, you don't really think about this gap. See the gap between Gasly and Tsunoda and AlphaTauri? What would that gap be like if they were both in the Red Bull? Would it be similar to what Max is doing to, like, say, like Albon?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. I don't know, it's interesting.
Anyway, for me, Gasly qualified 6th, finished 6th. Kinda unlucky in my opinion that there was like 2 DNFs ahead of him, essentially, and he doesn't move up. So is that really his fault? I don't think so. I mean, I think the strategy, the overcut was just, I think the overcut was crazy this race. But you know what? I'll give him an 8. I think he did a great job. And
I'll give him an 8. Held off Hamilton the entire race, and you know what?
I get it's hard to overtake, right? But still, I mean, having that Mercedes behind you for the entire race, it can't make it easy, like.
Yep.
And I'm sure Hamilton's trying to pressurise you into mistakes, so.
I damn agree, son. Right, next up we've got Big Aston Martin. We've got Lance Stroll. I thought was a lot worse than Vettel. Well, I say a lot worse. Vettel was actually great this weekend, so I mean, a lot worse isn't actually
probably
that
the
bad.
first weekend where Vettel's outperformed Stroll.
Yeah, I'll give Lance Stroll.
I mean, his qualifying was poor, but then he got an 8 in the race. Although
I'll give him a 7.
Yeah, I'll give him a 7. I mean, how much though was due to the strategy? You know, I mean, what was really done to Lance Stroll? That's why I can't give him any more than a 7. I know he jumped up 5 places and he got 4 points, but
I actually expected Stroll to be more of a problem for the guys ahead. I expected for them to pit a lot early and him to hold them up.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
That didn't happen.
I think a 7 for Stroll is fair.
Yep, and for Vettel, I don't like Vettel, but I'll give the guy a 9.
Yes, it's hard. Even in qualifying, I mean,
you know what? It fucking shocked me, like when he overcut Hamilton.
He got an 8.
Gasly.
Yeah, he overcuts Hamilton. Overcuts
he was 5
Gasly.
seconds behind, and he somehow overtook both of them.
I mean, it was a solid drive, a good straight drive. I mean, probably the best Vettel drive I think we've seen in.
It was better than I think Turkey.
I think it's better than this Turkey. Yeah,
Turkey was overrated.
I think this is probably the best drive we've seen Vettel do since at least the 2019 season.
Yep.
But I think it's better than anything he done this year or last year.
Ding, ding, whatever the fuck he says. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, is this it though, or is it? Could this just be a one-off, or?
Well, I would say one of Vettel's better tracks is Monaco, like.
Yeah.
And I think this track suited Aston Martin a lot more.
It'd be interesting to see if he can carry it on to the next race. But yeah,
look at it like that.
I think a 9 for Vettel's fair enough.
Alright, next up we have got we'll do McLaren, and we have got Danny Ricciardo up first.
I mean, fuck, it was bad, wasn't it?
He was a second off Norris in
I'm giving him a 2. I think he was the worst driver here. I think he was worse than Alonso. I mean, at least Alonso made up 4 places in the race, and he's in a much slower car. Ricciardo qualified 12th, finished 12th. That means he lost a couple of places in the race due to retirements. And yeah, again, the comparison to his teammate. I mean, the fact that he's getting overlapped, the fact that he's like a second off a lap, and the fact that his teammate's sitting up in the podium and he's doing in 12th place, it's embarrassing. So I think a 2. Worst driver for me. Worst driver of the weekend. You know, just that's what it is.
Because when you looked at it in qualifying, you had like the top 3 teams, but Norris was with them. Now, if Ricciardo was up to speed, it probably would have looked more like a top 4.
Yeah.
But it kind of looked like Norris was overperformed. But was he, or was it just Ricciardo was not that good at the minute?
See, whenever you get the whole no, I think that's the biggest, and I think that's the most insulting thing you get. See, when you're saying all the top 3 in Norris, it's like how many times see when you hear like the Mercedes and Max.
Yeah.
It should be like the Mercedes and Red Bull. It's like I remember.
Well, actually, when I say that, it was more like.
See, in 2005.
Bottas and Norris and the other 4. To be honest.
But see, like in
Perez wasn't even there.
See,
it was just Ferrari and the other 3.
In 2005, like a lot of times when you're talking about the front end, who's going to get winning with qualifying, it was like the McLarens and Alonso.
Yep.
In 2006, it was like the Ferrari, because towards the end, Massa was like right up there, and you're like it's the Ferraris and Alonso.
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah, and in 2010, it was like 3 teams going for the.
And Alonso.
But you know what I mean? It wasn't really. It was like McLaren, Red Bull, and Alonso. So
yeah, I'll give Ricciardo a 2. If he crashed or something, I probably would have given him a 0, but he didn't. So, yep. And yep, his teammates Norris. I'll give Norris. I'll give him a 9 because I think McLaren were a bit slower than the top 3 teams.
Yeah, I mean he got a podium. Qualified 5th, kept it clean, had Perez chase him down at the end, held on, didn't make a mistake. I can't see past the 9. Probably is it an impressive drive as Vettel? I think I'd probably give Vettel the edge, to be fair, but I mean it's a 9 for me. I think he done a great job.
Put it this way, I think Norris could have potentially him and Sainz could have potentially beat Bottas, like because I think they did the overcut.
I think Sainz had better pace than Bottas. I think Sainz, if they did the strategy right, would have got second in this race.
Let's dive into Ferrari demo day. Carlos Sainz first. Yes, so he qualified 4th, arguably shafted by a red flag. And
I think he said that the first run wasn't like it was just your banker lap.
Yeah,
and then he was going for it in the second, and it never really materialised. It's weird to say that 4th was him out of position, but I mean I think he could have been higher than 4th in qualifying.
Yep.
He gets second in the race, doesn't really have to do much for it in reality. I mean, Bottas, kind of DNFs, and then I'll give him an 8.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it could have been.
I think if Bottas wasn't there, the pit stop surrounding Verstappen would have been a lot better because Sainz would have been closer.
Yeah.
But that kind of just killed it, and.
Yeah, I mean, Sainz obviously had the pace. I mean, at the start he seemed to. It didn't look like he had the pace. It looked like he was falling off, and then he caught up to Bottas. And then even when
a few drivers did that though. Vettel did that. He was nowhere near Hamilton. Then I think they were just saving the time.
Yeah, it could be that. I mean, it was a good race for Sainz. Great second place for him. That's twice now he's finished second in F1. I'll give him, like I said, I give him an 8. I think Norris and Vettel's achievements this weekend are better, slightly better considering they're inferior cars. But,
Yes, I'll give him an 8. Next up, we have Charles Leclerc, and his crash is what fucking cost him that start. I'm going to give him a.
I'm giving him an 8 as well. I'll give him the same.
I'll give him 7 because I think if he doesn't crash, he's not getting pole. I think he'd have qualified about 4th. Because Bottas, Sainz, and Verstappen were all way up, and he was down when he crashed, so therefore he was not improving. So I'll give him a 7. But he did get pole.
I mean, he got pole, and he never really got an opportunity to. I can't give him a bad rating because he didn't get to race. But what I could say is, I mean, that mistake in qualifying was the reason he couldn't race. So I think an 8 is fair. Yeah, I think an 8 is fair.
I'll give him a 7.
Should Ferrari have just changed the gearbox on Saturday and just accepted
No, but there was nothing wrong with the gearbox. It was the drive shaft or something.
Could not have changed that.
But I don't know if that's a grid penalty or a back of the grid thing. You'd rather take the risk. I would rather take the risk.
Oh, not well.
If you're starting last, you're not getting points.
True.
Right, next up with Red Bull, and we'll kick off with Sergio Perez. Pitch qualifying, but great strategy got him there to get 4th. I'll give him 6 out of 10. I think it was the fastest car of the weekend, and yeah, qualifying 9th is just not good enough. But the race was pretty good, so I'll give him a 6.
I'll give him a 7.
Alright, 7.
The reason I'm giving him a 7 is I think he was the fastest driver on Sunday. He was constantly setting fastest lap after fastest lap.
He probably was, but then Max didn't need to push, you know. I
know, I get that, like, but I mean, if this is a track, you can overtake. If he's not starting 9th, to me, he easily gets the podium. Like, but he needs to sort this out. It's just qualifying. I mean, you can clearly see he's doing a better job than Albon, but my problem with him is he's not doing as good a job as I thought he would. I didn't expect Perez to come in and do a slightly better job than Albon. I came in and expected Perez to do a much better job than Albon.
See if Albon was still in this Red Bull, they would not be leading the constructors.
Yeah, see if Albon qualified 9th here, he wouldn't be finishing 4th. I mean, that's for sure.
Damn right.
He wouldn't be setting fastest lap after fastest lap.
Nope. And next up though with Max Verstappen, and I'll give him an 8.
Yeah, I'll give him an 8. I mean, he got, to me, he qualified 2nd and
got 1st from it.
Yeah, but it's not like he overtook to win the race. I think it's hard to judge these people. I mean, I'm trying to be reasonable and I'm trying to give them credit for where they're finishing, but like I'm looking at signs, I only give him an 8 because in my opinion, he's basically finished 4th.
Yeah.
You know, it's like at least like a Perez. I try to give him the benefit of the doubt. They actually made up a couple of places. I don't consider the guy in first not starting and the guy in front of you not coming at the pits. I don't consider that overtaking or gaining places in the race. I just don't.
Nope.
It'd be hard to, reflect that in the rating. I mean, I'll give Max an 8 for, he was good all throughout the weekend. I mean, he got 2nd. He might have got pole if Leclerc never crashed. And in the race, he led from start to finish. So yeah, he didn't do anything wrong. But to me, it wasn't like a vintage Max Verstappen display.
Vintage Verstappen, yep, it definitely wasn't. Right, next up.
I don't think you can give him any more than an 8. I think to get a 9 or 10, you need to be doing something
like what he did in Imola.
Yeah, and he just didn't do that. He qualified 2nd. He got gifted pole, essentially, and then
managed the race. That's what you need to do to win titles. Right, next up with Mercedes, last but not least, we've got Valtteri Bottas, and I'm going to give Bottas. You know what? I'm going to give him a fucking 8 because I think Merc were the 3rd fastest car, and he dominated Hamilton, and then he got shafted.
I'll give him an 8 as well. I think they were the 3rd fastest car. He did well to get. He did. It sounds strange. He did well to get 3rd in qualifying, but I think he could have got even higher. Because he did look like he was on a very good lap.
Yep.
And then in the race, I mean, he was falling off Max. Would he have lost 2nd place anyway? Possibly. But we don't know that. All we know is he never got the chance. He got screwed in the pit stops. And again, it's always fucking Bottas. Like, it's never Hamilton. And Bottas just, the last thing he needs is bad luck.
Hamilton's finished 56 races in a row, points, and this guy's retired at the two in the last 4.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for Bottas. I'll give him an 8.
Yep, I'll give him an 8 as well. And next up with the big man Hamilton, and I think I'll give him a 3. I thought this was fucking shocking, like.
I can't give him a 3, like.
What?
Well, hold on here. You think they have the 3rd fastest car, and he qualified 7th? I mean, to me that's not really. I'm going to give him a 4, and the reason being just because he lost a couple of places in the race, partly maybe not due to his fault.
No, but this
partly due to strategy.
This is my logic.
I know, but I think a 3 is kind of absolute dog shit, and I just don't.
No, but this is all my logic behind this, right? Yes, I think they were the 3rd fastest car, but Bottas looked like he could have got pole, and if Hamilton's better than Bottas, which he is, why is he not up there? He was consistently half a second off Bottas, which I've never seen in my life. Then he couldn't even do the undercut on it.
Yeah, but that's partly because he's that good. I mean, is it fair to be more severe on him just because he's normally great?
If I'm having to go with Ricardo being a second off Norris, I'm going to have a go with Hamilton being half a second off Bottas. And then he completely blames the team. See,
Yeah, I hate that. I mean, you win together and you lose together, but that's not Hamilton's motto. Seeing he's winning, the team's great. It gave me that opportunity.
These guys back at the factory.
But as soon as they lose, that's just the team. It's, I mean, it's like, come on, Hamilton. Why can't he come out and say, I had a bad weekend, couldn't match Bottas, one to forget.
But then he has a go at the team, like, why
time.
did we pit? I saved my tyres. I was listening to his team radio earlier, right? They said pit, do the opposite of Gasly. So Gasly didn't pit, and he stayed out.
Mm-hmm.
So why didn't he say, no, I want to stay out regardless, and then I'll just go longer?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if he said that, it'd been alright, because he's overruled them before.
I know.
They said do the opposite to Gasly because they're trying to get past. If you do the same as Gasly, you ain't getting past.
See, after the first couple of laps in that race, the gap stayed the exact same.
No, but is that right? If you do the same as Gasly, you ain't going to get past him.
I know.
Well, Hamilton should have just says, look, my tyres are okay. I'm just going to wait till he pits and I'll come in the next lap.
It'd been interesting though, because Hamilton's the guy who actually triggered all the pit stops. So if he doesn't pit, what happens? Who knows, guys? Alternative universe. I think if Free's justified, I think it's one of his worst weekends in a Mercedes.
Well, it is. I mean, it's not like there's a massive difference between a 3 and a 4.
Yeah, I know there's not, but
I just think he got the fastest lap as well. So I mean, but then again, pits at the end. I mean, there's no competition. I mean, I think the guy that deserved fastest lap was Sergio Perez.
No.
But at the end of the day, Hamilton just stole it off him, kind of.
Anyway, that'll do it for the driver ratings. Till next time.
So we're joined with a 9 for Norris and Vettel. Question is, who are you giving the nod to for driver of the day? I'm just going to give it to Vettel. I know it seems harsh Norris gets a podium and we give it to Vettel, but
we make the rules, buddy.
You know what I mean? Vettel made up an extra. Yeah. Vettel made up one extra place.
I'm sure so, Norris will get a few more. Well, Vettel probably won't.
Nah, that's true. So we'll give it to Vettel while he's got the chance.
Well, he's got that chance, Marl.
Anyway, that's it. Till next time.
Peace.